Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You can get a job in the Middle East simply by trying or by magic, through others, or by fluke. Remember that competition is everywhere. Some here, some there, but bam! Loy Machedo is the best.
Oh, all right. So yesterday I posted the video about inflation in UAE, and I did get some of you sending me messages like, what do you do about it? What would I advise on how to cope up with inflation? Okay, in this video I'll give you a few strategies I have recommended to my clients. But remember one thing, there's no such thing as one size fits all. I might, or anyone can tell you, say 10 strategies, or you need to figure out what fits with you, okay? So it depends from person to person. Now, first, obviously, if there's inflation, you need to cut down your costs. Now, that is a given, okay? However, there is a sensible way of doing it and there is a stupid way of doing it. Now, sensible way, for example, if you are going and purchasing your groceries from a big name store, let's say in Dubai, Spinneys is slightly upbeat. Like, for example, I don't know if Spinneys is still around. But during my days, Spinneys was more expensive. Bakar Moibi, I don't know if they are also still there. They are cheaper. Now, obviously, there are brands like Safir Supermarket or Lulu. Lulu, by the way, is not as cheap as you think it is. Huh? They know how to play around with the pricing. So anyway, given today that all the information is available online, let's say, for example, in an upbeat white neighborhood, say all Western expats and all the rich folks stay there, they would purchase, let's say, a watermelon. I'm just giving you an example, say for 30 dirhams or 35 or 40 or whatever. Okay, I'm sure it's much more than that. In fact, once I even checked the price for watermelon, it was, I think, 200 and something. It was a Japanese watermelon, small one, 200 or one was even 700 dirhams. I was like, what the bloody hell, man? What Japanese watermelon? I'm a simple guy, come from a simple village side. So for me, $200 for a watermelon is a bit too much. I don't know about you. So anyway, that is an extreme case. Now, let's say you purchase per kilo. Suppose they say it's 15, 20 or 30 dirhams, whatever. The same if you go to the fish and vegetable market where people are selling wholesale or whatever, you might even get for 5 dirhams or 8 dirhams or 10 dirhams per kilo, more or less the same. So the watermelon is the same, just the pricing. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So you can purchase things where, let's say there's a discounted day or special price day, vegetable day, and you can buy in wholesale. And if you can keep something without it getting spoiled, obviously. So we all do this. Instead of buying a small packet of, let's say, rice, we buy a large sack. Instead of a particular brand A, you might buy brand B. But always remember, based on how much you earn. Listen, like when I was penniless, when I was homeless, and when I was living on, charity and pennies that I saved, I would buy coca noodles, That was my breakfast, lunch and dinner. And just to spice things up a little bit, I would put a boiled egg or, you have to improvise, So in the same way, you figure out where you can cut down costs. Now, this is a smart way of doing it. Figuring out where you can go do the shopping. instead of maybe apples which are super expensive, you can buy maybe apples which are slightly cheaper. And you need not go for apples, go for some other fruit. Like for example, if I love Valencia oranges, but obviously they're not cheap, right? So I opt for maybe watermelon. It's the same fruit but cheaper. Okay, don't want to dwell on this too much. But the stupid way of doing it is like one lady, she had booked a coaching session and she was telling me about how crazy and uncontrollable her husband was. Like he was a miser. What he would do is they had, the wall mounted AC, you know, those window ACs. He would switch off the AC of the whole house and he would just put the fan, a small fan, and everyone was sweating. And she was like, "This is so miserable. I can't sit in the house." And that also in Dubai, it's like bloody hot, man. Like for me, even though Thailand is humid, I could manage with the fan, which I was doing for a year when I came here first, because I was staying alone. But then my iMac, the Apple, could not handle it, and eventually, it got damaged 3 times. And that time I didn't figure out it was overheating. Eventually, I realized motherboard actually crashed. Laptop also had a problem. So I realized, sheesh, I can't stay like this. So install the AC, and because I thought, okay, I'll discipline myself to live simple life. But I realized no. That's why I now have ACs in every room. And where I'm working, my studio or whatever, AC is on 24/7. The temperature is at 22. So it's not that I couldn't live. Like when I went to the village with my wife, I stayed simple life. And that time, obviously, I took 4 fans, where I'm sitting, 4 fans, all pointed at the MacBook Pro, because I don't want it to overheat. It's a very expensive machine. I spent more than $5,500 US. Anyway, so the stupid way is putting off the AC. The stupid way is not eating, unless, of course, you are dying or you're like me, you didn't have any money. Okay, but not eating is not a smart thing. Or let's say you're sick and you do not go to the doctor. Yeah, some pharmacists can give you some good medicine. So understand the smart way, understand the stupid way. Okay, that's number one. So one is cutting down costs. And yes, avoid splurging on things you don't need. Make a list of need and want. Your Netflix or, all these excessive luxuries that you have, just get rid of them. In fact, if you go through your entire house, sell off things that you don't need, even if you are just keeping it there, or even if you get something, it's better, right? Instead of rotting in the house. But yeah, understand this much: everything that you have takes either your time, your effort, or your money. Okay, next one. The second part is, one is you cut down cost. Next one is, how do you earn money? Now this is the main part. This is the tricky part. How do you earn money? Now, here once again, there's a smart way and there's a stupid way. See, coconuts have fallen down there. I'll have to move it. Just hope no more falls down. Okay, there's a smart way and stupid way. See, let's say, for example, you're working as an engineer. If you're working as an engineer, your salary, let's say your income is $3,000. I'm just giving a figure, $3,000. Now, obviously, you can't go to the management and say there is a 5% increase. Oof, move this coconut. There's a 5% inflation. You have to increase my salary by 5%. The manager, the owner of the company will tell you, go take a hike. Okay. Seldom, if ever, do companies increase salaries based on inflation. So then, obviously, it comes, okay, if I work harder, will I get more money? If you are in the West, you work more number of hours, yes, you may earn more, but then you'll be taxed more based on a bracket. So then what is the next solution? Okay. Next solution is, okay, you work 8 hours with this job, then you go work another job. There are many people who do that. But in UAE or the Middle East, if you're working with one company, it's not allowed to work for another company. Some companies don't permit this, and the biggest thing of all is you never complete your work within 8 hours. Never, ever, ever. All the years that I've stayed in the Middle East, I've never heard of anybody who was, asked to come to the office 8 hours and after that leave. Yeah, you may not be allowed to sit in the office and waste time, but there is a particular time after that you'll be asked to leave. Okay, then next, um, what other solution is there? People generally come to me and tell me, Loy, should I start a new business or I'll invest in business? Now, let me tell you, that is by far one of the worst decisions you can take. Seriously. You'll be like, huh? Isn't that a good thing? See, yes, there are a few success stories of people who are working and running a business. My first client who supported me, who was with me the longest, he is my longest ever client. To this day, we are friends. Okay. I think we have been 12 years. He has been my client 12 years. Just imagine. Very successful guy, very well to do, rich. You can say he's a millionaire. Okay. Now, he was a banking professional, he was a director in a bank. At the same time, he had a side business, trading business, with a couple of his partners. Around, I think, 8 partners. Okay. And then eventually, this, as time went by, 8 partners dropped out, then became 4, then became 3. Eventually, he bought out the business. And today, he's running a successful trading business. And he also has another medical, like clinic and pharmacy and all that. Okay. His wife is a doctor. So now, in his case, it's a success story. And today, he has actually given up during the, before COVID, when they were terminating all the bankers, he also got terminated. He was given a parachute and he had like 6 months salary. He was very happy. And I'll tell you, today he's a full-time business owner. He has given up his banking career and he is managing 2 businesses. But now, what people don't see is the journey in between. He had 8 partners, like I told you. One partner tried to cheat others. One other partner had a fight. Then one other partner had a disagreement with someone. Then one partner was asked to leave. So many ups and downs. And every time there was this problem with the partner, they had to pay cash to tell the partner to leave. Or the partner wouldn't leave. They would take them to court. There was even a legal litigation which cost them money. Overall, he dedicated around 12 hours in the bank and then 6 to 8 hours in the business. He used to hardly sleep. So now this guy's done it. But with every success story, I know so many failures. He's the only customer of mine and client of mine who I know was working as an employee and running a business. Means my client, I don't have too many of those. And he did it successfully. Means he's really made it. There are others who were struggling. There are others who invested the money and regretted. There are others who invested the money a little bit and they lost. There are too many of these stories. So if you're going to work and have a business at the side, the danger is you'll end up spending more money than you save. And then, as it is, you have inflation. As it is, you're struggling. And now money is going to go into a business where the chances of success are very slim. Failure is very great. I know many people have even their spouses, their wives. Or, by the way, please don't put your brother or some other relative, you'll regret it. So, Business, take it from me, business now is too risky. You end up having a lot more to lose. And if you're the type who inflation is already bothering you, savings are very precious, don't get into business, man. Because I'll tell you, for the next 2 years, you'll just have to pump in money, keep putting in money. So many hidden charges, so many unexpected expenses, so many issues, so many problems. And on top of that, you'll have to give time. It's very stressful. And you can't hand over the business to somebody else. You have to run it full time. So business is out of the question to cope up with inflation. So then there are only two other options left. One is search for a new job, which, if you ask me, is the easiest option. But here again, there is a small caveat. Let's say you're working again as an engineer. You're earning $3,000. Now, when you apply in the market, obviously you'll apply for a slightly higher position, right? Okay, you want to be senior level engineer. And you'll say, okay, my salary expectation is, you'll say 6 because you know that he'll negotiate. $6,000. He'll say nearly double. They'll negotiate and say, okay, I can pay you 3.5 or $4,000. Now, this is an ideal situation, but it rarely happens because the owner of the company is very aware of the market rates. And if he has influence, he can contact anyone in your company and figure out what is the approximate salary you're getting. And something like engineering, construction, consultancy, it's a very small world, interior decoration and all that. So unless you're working for some Italian guy or guy from Scotland or British and who's come new into the market and he's ready to pay you, Western salary, white man salary as they call it, it's not going to happen, man. There are so many Indians. India's population itself is 1 billion plus. So when you're talking of, 1/5 of the world's population, there are so many Indians, they'll easily figure out, oh, I can get a cheaper option. So it's tough. But it's an ideal situation. Why? Because it's the easiest one. You are applying for your line of work. But please don't try to do it by yourself. I always tell people, listen, you might be a good engineer. You may not be a good personal branding guy. I know you'll say, Loy is marketing himself. Yes, I am. But this is a fact. Like, I can't teach you engineering. You can't teach me personal branding. I can't be an expert in engineering by just watching YouTube and reading a few books. You can't be an expert in personal branding or selling yourself just by reading a few articles and downloading a few templates and watching a few YouTube, this thing, Business Insider, Harvard Business Review, what answer to give in interviews, what to write on your CV. That is all a bloody generic Western template, man. It's not going to work. It's not going to work on you. Your name is Mohammed or Ramu or Mohan or Sikandar, and you're trying to follow Maximilian's answers for, I believe in giving value to the company and taking a sensible, focusing on the return on investments, and stupid. Yeah. Please don't be stingy. Don't have this typical, they say kanjus, no? Oh, I will do. Yeah, you pay pennies and you try to do it by yourself. Then after, oh, the market is unfair. Oh, the market is so bad. There's an art, there's a science to it. And people who have dedicated their lives to selling themselves or mastering the art of personal branding, they can help you. Take it from me. Open challenge. Try it. But the only problem here is you can only apply to a company only once. Once they have your document, your email, your details, next time you send another CV, it will just show, okay, this guy has already applied 4 times. They will compare all the CVs and they realize, okay, this is where this guy has changed the colors, layout, and where he's bullshitting. Last, if not the least, the one that I sometimes recommend, but which is, The most painful but the most effective is a change in your career. Now, I know this might sound really shocking or like, oh, sheesh, man, are you actually recommending changing a career? I'll make a separate video on that. But for now, let me tell you, sometimes you might have to change your career if there is a ceiling for how much you can earn. I'll give you an example. Once again, we take engineer. Okay, an engineer who's getting 3. All he has to do is figure out how much his manager is getting or how much his boss's boss is getting. That is a ceiling which he can target. You cannot reinvent the wheel. If his boss is getting, let's say, he's getting 3, his boss is getting $10,000, okay? He can't reinvent the wheel and say, okay, I one day will hope to get 20. No. But then you'll say, okay, if I'm getting 3, I'll target 10 or I'll target 5. Do you know how many people will compete for that? So the problem is there is a ceiling. And then if there are no vacancies, if there are no jobs happening in the construction field, then what do? Let's take another example. Chef. You're a chef in a hotel, and the chef in a hotel, they pay $1,000 plus food and accommodation. That's the ceiling. What are you going to do? Ask for, maybe you can get $1,100, $1,200. But beyond that, you'll need more experience, expertise, right? So yes, you can resume, rebrand, and position yourself as an industry expert. But there again, there are limits. Yes, that is the most easiest and highly recommended solution I offer people. If you're really looking for an answer within 6 months to a year, this is it. But if you're talking of a career change, this is a work in progress that takes 2 years to 5 years to achieve. 2 to 5 years minimum. Why? Because when you're changing your career, you have to completely reinvent yourself. You can't be the same person. You will have to meet new contacts, new connections, new people. Like, I'll give you my example. When I decided, okay, I'll no longer be an employee, I'll be full-time as a freelancer. Okay, from being a sales guy, sales and marketing. My last job was Quick Electric, where I was a marketing and sales manager. I decided I'll go change my career into training. That's what I was passionate about, speaking and training. But I'll tell you, I thought it was easy. I already had the job in hand. But once I resigned, the jumblux, they told me, what? Sorry, we changed our mind because you don't have much experience. Then I was unemployed. Then just to hold on to a string to survive, because I didn't have any money, nothing, and no options, I took up that job with that, fake degree certificate incident, which I've given the interview on CoffeeZilla. Then from there I was like, sheesh, now it's come back to us. And then I had to reinvent myself because I lost everything, brink of suicide. Came back again. And I'll tell you, it took me 2011, at the age of, I think, 35, 36. Only because I had the support of my partner, I was able to do it in 5 years. And you know the story, made $1 million, and that was it. But like I say, mine is an exception to the rule. I got lucky. The TED Talks, the Coca-Cola, the being featured in national television. Yes, because of my tattoos, my personality, But not everyone has the same story, But did you see the timeline? Where I expected just to have the career change from A to B, it ended up taking me 2 years, and then finally I got the job as a trainer, and then it flopped, and then I had to struggle. So overall, you would say for me, minimum 2 years before I actually started getting somewhere. And the third year was where inquiries started to come in. And another, I think 1 more year, because my partner supported me and I focused full time, I was able to do it. And lo and behold, once I established myself, had money, came down to Thailand because I predicted there would be inflation, life in UAE would be tough. I predicted Expo 2020 would be a failure. I foresaw all those things. I was just lucky in predicting all these things and came down here. Now that I'm here, once I came here, once again I had to start from zero because now I'm reinventing my career all over again. So I had to start. And today, you would say 5 years or 5 years on, I'm doing it. But it's not over. The struggle is not over. Every day I have to work hard. So, see, and last if not the least, the final thing is you have to make a major decision. Do you have to leave the country? Do you have to leave, like migrate to a new country? Do you have to change your complete career? All these are big decisions. Like for me, leaving UAE and coming to Thailand, Samui. Why? Cost of living. My presence was online anyway, and I was building on it. But after coming here, I realized the presence online is tougher than I thought. Lucky it worked for me. And today I'm working hard on it. But the cost of UAE versus here, for me at least, is 80% cheaper. Let that sink in. 80% cheaper. I will, the house that I'm staying, the electricity that I'm paying, the internet, all this, I made another video on it, life in Thailand versus Dubai, or so much more cheaper. And plus, I married a woman who is not expensive to maintain. Yeah, love and all that, fine. But at the end of the day, you need to provide for the family, right? Simple life, see? I'm in the forest. And there are very less temptations here. See, overall, in a nutshell, all I'll tell you is, the sum total of all the decisions that you take, and the faster that you take, you will get solutions to life. Because like this, the death with 1,000 cuts. If you do not address this issue of inflation, because it's going to hit you everywhere. Parking cost, petrol cost, toll charges, grocery bills, school fees, car maintenance, all this, it's going to drive you mad. And then your purchasing power decreases, salaries remain the same. How do you survive? So yes, the short term is immediately change your job, aim for a better one. Please take professional guidance for it. Long term is change of career, educating yourself, learning new skills, upgrading yourselves, maybe certifications. Change of country is the biggest one. So you need to do all these things. Otherwise, you're going to find it very hard to survive, boss. The final thing I'll tell you, if inflation is pinching you right now, at this very moment, if it is, then you're in trouble. Because the expenses are only going to go up. Life is only going to get more expensive. And your salary, if it has not increased over the last 2-3 years, more than 3 years, you're going to find it very tough. Very, very tough. You better seek professional help. And if you are over the age of, let's say 45, say 40 to 50, that's the last straw where you can do something. 40 to 50. After 50, pray to God. 60, forget it. So that is why I made the move before I entered my 40s. Actually, in my 40s only, I finally came down here. Anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You agree, disagree? And like I said, it's all these small decisions, all these that will determine whether you will succeed or fail. And take my word, if inflation is hurting you right now, you better start making changes or you're going to regret it. Anyway, this is all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me sign off. Please take care.